Kasha Vande, and I'm the initiator of PondyART, which is an organization that works on getting art out to the public by utilizing public space. PondyART was initiated as an idea in, December 2012, and we brought out our first exhibition in February of 2013 in Pondicherry along the canal, using the work of Shrikant Kolari. The idea was to take a documentary photographer's subject and the message he was carrying out to a broader audience than could be reached through magazines, through a gallery. This could go straight to the people, and those people are the ones that probably could make a change from the ground level up. We held 2 shows. One is a test run with very small prints, and one with a large format print done on paper on the canal. And then the owner asked for the property back. We had a show scheduled with Yannick Cormier, and I searched for a new wall that had a broader audience, and was lucky enough, with the help of Lalit Verma, to get a wall on the beach road, where 100,000 people generally pass a month. They are people from the city. They are also tourists because it's a great place to be. And the wall was directly in that space, so there was no entry, no gate, and anybody could access it. We held shows there for about 6 months, and I felt that the local reaction was very positive because none of the images were touched, they weren't vandalized, and they weren't stolen. They were only pasted to the wall, and with that number of people passing, I found it really amazing that nobody stopped to take anything. It's a little difficult for me to give you direct feedback because I don't unfortunately speak Tamil, but I watched young boys dash across the street and stand in front of the photographs, moving from image to image and just staring at them and reading the captions. And for me, that was the biggest success, to watch people stop in their tracks and look and walk away thinking about something. We did have some negative reactions. At one point, we did a show by Senthil Kumaran on the environment, and he showed some pictures that were ugly of what is happening in India. I was there fixing and repairing, repasting one image, and a scooter stopped behind me. And the man on the bike said rather loudly that these people only take pictures of the ugly of India. Why don't they notice what is beautiful? I came down because I heard him, and I said, "Sir, I don't think you realize this was a Tamil photographer who took this picture." And he said, "Yes, but why are they taking the ugly of India?" And I said, "Because he loves India and he doesn't want it to continue like this." And he said he was not pleased. And I said, "Well, the point is you stop to look at it, and maybe when you go home you will make a change in your own personal life that will keep India beautiful." So I felt like the result and the success were there with this project. We did a show in October by Amir Taraj Stephen, who has been focusing on the protesting going on against the Kudankulam nuclear power plant. The images are extremely strong, and I was very concerned about the reaction of the government in showing those kind of pictures. In fact, nobody did anything to those pictures either. And Amir Taraj, during the opening evening, managed to catch images of the police looking at the police in the images. So even there, a subject that's so strong and controversial caught attention and was not negatively received for bringing it out into the open. In the end of November, the owner asked for the wall back. He was concerned that the new tenants would not approve of having an art show on their walls. I started a search with the help of the Hindu to find a new space, and very surprisingly and wonderfully, the government stepped forward, and the government of Pondicherry offered the Old Distillery at the end of the beach road. The Old Distillery has been vacant for about 35 years and was an old Iraq factory. Many, many projects have been presented in terms of redeveloping that site, whether as a shopping mall, as a hotel, as a cultural center, but nothing has ever come through. I've been here for 13 years and always wondered about that space, but it never occurred to me to ask for it because nobody had gotten in there before. When they offered this space, I felt it was impossible to refuse, and we moved in there. Now, it is not exactly the kind of space that I was looking for because it does have a gate, and we are obliged to have a watchman, and so the public do not feel quite as comfortable walking in. We put up 3 shows so far, and the feedback has been enormous. However, considering we were getting 100,000 pedestrians passing our work for the last 6 months, in there we were getting 600 to 800, perhaps a little more. So visibility went down. Initially, the idea was started with the photographers, so the first show came like that. Yannick was the second photographer, and I initiated contact with him. From that point on, he has networked and I have networked, and as people saw the shows, mostly people contacted me. On occasion, when we are looking for a specific topic, I have approached a photographer. When that happens, our answers are now positive within 5 minutes by email. We had a wonderful opportunity arrive in December this year where we had a chance to consider doing a festival in Pondicherry, a photography festival. We had been working with the Delhi Photo Fest, which created 65 shows out of 3,500 applicants screened. They created 18 shows that were for presenting in the outdoors. And I requested if it would be possible if Pondicherry would have the honor of hosting 18 of those exhibitions. The request was granted. In addition to that, we had the opportunity through Yannick Cormier to create a very big show following our general theme on building awareness of an issue challenging India today, focusing on the tribals of the subcontinent, the Indian subcontinent. Yannick approached 8 other photographers, and we created a huge curated show and expanded our use of the distillery, which is an enormous site, and we had only been using about 20% of it. At this point, we approached the government to help for funding, and they agreed to give the space and also to consider funding the project. Working with Andreas Steffner, who created the concept design, and Yannick, who worked with all the photographers, collecting their images, doing layouts, measuring the site, we moved into the distillery, and in 2 weeks created this incredible show that you've been seeing all over the internet and in the newspapers. I feel that our greatest success with the festival has been the variety of people who have come to look at India, at photography, and at the building as well. We had rickshawwalas, we had ashramites, we had French residents, we had diplomats, we had government officials. So many people have come and wandered together through a single space looking at the photography. I was concerned that the distillery was not a public space, but I believe by the musical and performance events we added to the program, by the workshops we initiated with the help of the photographers, by the panel discussions, all of those things got the public interested and brought them into the distillery and made the distillery a public space for art where everybody can go together and enjoy. The main team is composed of myself, Andrea Steffner, who did all the graphic and concept design, Yannick Cormier, who is the art consultant and then did the curation, collected the images. We all worked together measuring the site. We all gave each other backup when it was needed. And one of the most important figures for us was Mutu Stickers, Mr. Mutu, who did the installation and the printing. He worked with us 24/7. I don't think he slept more than 2 hours a night for the last 2 weeks. He is very Tamil from a very small shop, but he is absolutely dedicated to the project, and he is working with almost no advance because he supports it. We have other contractors that worked with us, like Take It Easy for the lighting. In all these cases, these people showed up for our preview with their families, with their friends, dressed to the nines, and super proud to contribute to the city and also to be part of such an event. So for me, part of the greatest thing is that the team works together, we're proud of it together, and we want to continue doing this. It's an amazing thing to be part of. Actually, I was pretty surprised because we seem to have managed reasonably well to organize in advance. The biggest stress was, in fact, still trying to confirm the funding by the government. Working with the government requires a large amount of time, which is basically my role in this, and that means spending a lot of time talking, persuading, convincing, and following up. We were not sure of the dates. Some of the challenges that came up were the dates. But in order to maintain credit with photographers, we felt it necessary to push forward without actually having in writing from the government the funding approvals. The biggest challenge, I think, during this was the fact that we were still following up with the government. This is my primary role in the coordination of the event, is to follow through and get permissions and get the funding approved. Unfortunately, we are doing this just before the elections, which I think slowed everybody down. I think also there are a great number of people involved in the decision-making process. Everyone has been incredibly helpful to me, from the Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry, the Chief Secretary, the Director, the Secretary of Tourism, the Minister of Tourism. Everybody has been a part of this decision-making process. I know many of them have pushed very hard for the file to go through, despite the fact that elections usually slow things down. However, all of that takes a lot of time on my side to remind them to make it a priority, to ensure that we get through. And until Friday, we were not sure of the funding. At that time, the government approved giving us 40% of the cost of the show, which is an incredibly generous offer. However, it leaves us in a very difficult position because, as we did not know, we do not have enough cash sponsors to cover the event. So now, at the very end, when I was hoping that I could have a break for 4 days, I am now going to have to chase funding of an amount of 6 lakhs. And that amount of 10 lux for the costing does not cover Yannick Cormier's 4 weeks of intensive effort to put those images on the wall. It doesn't cover Andreas's endless changes on proposals and signage and design work. And it doesn't cover my 5 months of effort to get the project out there for the public. So we believe that the event was totally worth it. But to have this happen at the end is very difficult for us because it means the work is not finished when we close the doors tonight at 10 o'clock. We are booked through October of 2014, and even yesterday we had 3 requests to show with us. The most important thing we are trying to do now is ensure that the standard of what we are showing remains the same. We can show emerging photographers such as Olia Morvan, who has only held a camera for 1 year. She is now on the cover of Le Monde in Paris. We were her first show, but the standard stayed the same. So that is the most important thing right now. So we are doing some screening, but in many ways, most of the photographers now are chasing us.